Hello everyone, welcome to Adlit Lessons. Today we shall have a new video lesson, The Great Dictator by Sir Charles Spencer Chaplin or Charlie Chaplin. The Great Dictator is a 1940 American political satire, comedy, drama film written, directed, produced, scored by, and starring British comedian Charlie Chaplin. The Great Dictator was a political satire condemning Hitler, Mussolini, the Nazis, and anti Semitism. It was Chaplin's first full sound production and was now nominated for 5 Academy Awards. The film tells the story of a Jewish barber that was played by Chaplin himself is mistaken for a dictator he resembles and is asked to take his place. Probably the most famous sequence of the Great Dictator is a 5 minute speech that concludes the film. Here, Chaplin drops his comic mask and speaks directly to the world, conveying his view that people must rise up against dictators and unite in peace. There you go with the first paragraph. I'm sorry, you can see at the outset of the speech, you find himself apologizing. I am sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. See the benevolence, how he realizes that it's a futile, catastrophic attempt to conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. Of course, the whole speech, understand, it's a thought provoking speech. It's an eye opener. Means it was actually released, published, or spoken by Charlie Chaplin in 1940. And today, 2020, we read it, we understand the pertinence of this speech. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. The speaker unleashes, he opens, it's an apocalyptic kind of revelation that dawns upon us when he says that he don't want to rule or conquer anyone, whether a black or a white, the white or the colored, racism, xenophobia, which is reigning uh, very much today, which is very relevant. It's a global issue which reigns, which gains momentum these days in the contemporary world, and where people they harbor some sort of a despise, they hate each other, and they talk about racism and xenophobia. So what's the ultimate end? What's the ultimate object? According to the speaker, we all want to help one another. He is beckoning universal or global peace, solidarity, unity, and benevolence among human beings. There should be one religion, one race, and one faith, and one trust, and one belief. That's love, God, and peace. For the whole world should be binded within one force, and that's love and peace. Yes, and this world has room for everyone. That's what he says. We are human beings, and we have to live. We have to live in connection. We have to be committed to one another. There should be universal brotherhood among each other, and the whole world is for us. In this world, there is room, there is space for everyone, and there is no need to hate and despise each other. And the good, the earth is rich. The earth is rich and full of treasures. There is prospects for a better living for every human being, for every individual. And this can be provided for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful. You needn't condition yourself. You needn't bring any concepts or ideologies or idealize the whole life in this world. That's what Charlie Chaplin says. But we have lost the way. We do have so much of universal humanitarian ethos and concepts and ethics in this world, which would have made life much more better and beautiful and charming and peaceful. But we are distracted. We have lost the way. Greed has poisoned man's souls, and it has barricaded. It's an impediment. It's a obstacle, and this greed is an obstacle which has governed and influenced the whole world. The human consciousness is governed by this greed and hate, and has goose stepped. It is a That's a goose step means it's a military walk. You know how the military officials, the soldiers, they walk. It's a peculiar kind of walking, the steps, the treats that they take. During their parade, during their march. So this has taken us into misery and bloodshed. What's the ultimate consequence? This greed, this hatred, this authoritarianism, this dictatorship has culminated in just woes, sorrows, miseries, and bloodshed, loss of life. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Missionary that gives us abundance has left us in want. It's talking about the Industrial Revolution, the advancement, the progression of science, technology, and information, everything. He's talking about globalization in a partial view, though there was no globalization during that period. But when then he is talking about the whole global activities and all the trade and commerce and contact and what do you say interaction among the people all over the world and what's happening, the global affairs that's taking place. We have advanced a lot, we have improved a lot, but then the trajectory of our advancement is downwards. There is no use advancing and progressing and getting informed these ways. Why? Because it's greed and hatred. It's self-centeredness, the selfish motives, the what do you say, the obsession for power, money, and capital, and to rule and to marginalize and to loot and exploit others and to get power, to seize power. This has been governing us a lot. And what's the use of advancement? What's the use of progression? What's the use of science and technology? What's the use of machinery? Uh, They give us plenty of privileges to live in this world, and our knowledge has made us cynical. We have become more evil minded. We have become more self centered. That's what the speaker says here. Uh, our knowledge has to be put into good use. It has to be utilized, or it has to be employed for proper peaceful, healthy, benevolent and humanitarian purposes and activities and causes. The whole grievances of the human population, of the human world population, it should be catered to. Instead, knowledge has made us cynical. Our wisdom, our knowledge, our information, our faculties, skills, everything, our cleverness, hard and unkind. All these things have made us rude. It has made us cynical, evil minded, and we are devoid of any sentiments, emotions, and humanity. That's what he says. We are thinking too much, but we don't feel. Our brains are working, our faculties related to our logic and reason is working, but then it's devoid of emotions. The heart and the mind is empty, it's emotionless. What we need is humanity. What we need is love. What we need is humanitarian ethos and kindness and benevolence. The faculty, the skill to empathize and sympathize with the whole world. See, if you are blind to man's suffering. I remember, you all know, Harari's definition of morality means your faculty or your capability to sympathize and empathize with man's misery. If you cannot do that, what's the use of talking about history, mankind, humanity, politics, science, and technology? If you cannot sympathize, if you cannot feel kindness to the other. So more than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. So the speaker says that, what do we need today? The demand is that of kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and all will be lost. So that's what he says. The airplane and the radio is talking about the inventions and discoveries, that has made life more comfortable, more easy to interact, understand, to know what's happening all over the world. So the airplane, science, discovery, inventions, and explorations. That's what he means by saying that the airplane and the air radio have brought us closer together. Yeah, today, science and technology have brought us together, and the very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world. See now, as you know that it's the first of its kind. It was the first full sound production. This movie, The Great Dictator, was a first of its kind. So, saying that while I'm speaking right now, I know that millions all over the world are listening to me. So, see how much technology has advanced and has improved. And when I speak from, I'm speaking right now, confining myself to one particular place, but then all over the world, people are listening to me. They can hear me, and millions of despairing men, women, and little children. So, of course, you just keep the Hitler's totalitarianism, his atrocious regime, the triggering of anti Semitism, and all these things should be in your mind when you go through and you listen to Chaplin's speech. Okay? Victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. See, you are fighting for something and you don't know what it's for. All these things become purposeless. Why does they become futile? They fail. Total catastrophe and devastation is left. The whole world become a heap of broken images. In the words of, to quote the words of T.S. Eliot, yes. Victims, they are victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. They don't know why they are being tortured. They don't know why they are being killed. They don't know why they suffer, why they do suffer. Of course, you may remember Anne Frank and her diary at this particular juncture. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair, don't feel sad, don't get desperate, don't give up hopes. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. So don't feel dejected, don't feel despair, don't get dismayed. This misery, of course, it's a result of greed. It will pass away. Okay, we know that the whole people, they are tortured. You hear me, all of you out there. You can hear me. Don't feel sad. Don't give up your hopes. This bitterness, this greed, and this mania for power, to seize power, all these things may pass. This too shall pass, as we often say that. The bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. So it's a hatred, it's a rudeness. He is talking about the warmongers, the corrupt politicians, and the atrocious fascist rulers and leaders who are exploiting the whole world. Uh, they are uh, they are looting, they are raising and raping the whole world for their own selfish, personal, subjective motives. And the hate of men will pass, and dictators, atrocious rulers, cruel leaders, they won't live forever. They will die, of course, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. Yes, the whole place will become a better place to live. So there is hope, and so long as men die, liberty will never perish. We human beings are born, we live, we fight, we kill each other, we murder our fellow beings, but then liberty, freedom, and equality, and what you say, all those things, fraternity, love, peace, that will never perish. That will never come to an end, even though human beings die. These dictators, these rulers and leaders, they loot us, they exploit us, they torture us, they unleash violence and inhuman atrocities among us, upon us. But one day they will die. And this condition or this status, the circumstances will change. It will move on. So there is hope. So that's what Charlie Chaplin says, the speaker says here. Soldiers, he's hailing, he's calling up, he is addressing all over the world. Now, soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes. Don't transform. Don't turn yourself. Don't get changed into brutes. Don't become animals. You are human beings. You are human beings full of human flesh, humanitarian ethos, and blood and kindness. Don't become animals. Don't allow yourselves to get transformed into creatures or beasts or animals devoid of emotions. And men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel. Your rulers, your boss, the higher authorities who makes you slaves, who despise you, who controls you, who governs you. They tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel. They drill you, they feed you, they treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. You are instrumental. You are weapons, you are toys, or you're just instruments in their hands. Soldiers, wake up, open your eyes, open your ears, listen, see what's happening to this whole world. What are you really doing to the what you say human beings? What are you doing to your fellow beings? What's actually happening here? What is the real situation here? Open up, just see, view, understand, and feel. There may be these fascist rulers, there may be these totalitarian dictators, they might be feeding you, they may be taking care of you, but they are treating you like cattle. They are never treating you like human beings. Of course, you're soldiers and you need to protect your country, your land, your people. You need to combat, you need to fight. You may have to raise your sword or you may have to fire at the other soldiers, but that's understandable. But they treat you like cattle and you are they use you as cannon fodder. And don't give yourselves to these unnatural men. They are never normal human beings. They are machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. What wonderful, splendid way the speaker has put things into words. See, I would like to repeat that. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. Splendid, marvelous, and awesome. Very pertinent, very relevant to the contemporary situations, circumstances prevailing in today's world. Yes. So there goes there. You can see how he is delivering his speech, the way he is addressing the whole world. So there's the most comical character, the comedian, the global, the universal comedian, speaking stark reality and putting into words harsh truths and real wisdom and knowledge that we need to have. Yes. You are not machines. So he's addressing soldiers, asking them, you are not cattle, you are not machines, you are not artillery, you are not guns, you are men. You're human beings, and you have the love of humanity in your hearts, and you don't hate. Only the unloved hates, the unnatural, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. So that's what the speaker says. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate. Only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. So we are all human beings, though soldiers, you are human beings, and you shouldn't transform yourself into objects or weapons or tools devoid of humanity, devoid of love, and don't become heartless, brutish creatures. Only the unloved hates, the unloved and the unnatural, but you all are normal human beings. And there you can see the speaker says, we think too much with our brains, but we feel too little. So he's calling upon the soldiers, asking him, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. Yes, soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. And he is quoting, making a biblical allusion to the 17th chapter of Saint Luke, and where it is written, the kingdom of God is within man. It's a biblical reference, it's a biblical allusion where he calls upon the soldiers and he brings in divine allusions and references. He's quoting the divine words, don't fight for slavery. You have to fight for peace, for benevolence, for humanity, for mankind, to confront the issues, the global issues that the whole humanity is facing. So, what does Saint Luke say in the 17th chapter? The kingdom of God is within man. Not one man or a group of men, but an old man in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Hailing, addressing the whole world, he is asking, he is requesting, he's vehemently insisting all of us understand there is no life, there is no solution for one particular individual. We are a group, we are a massive collection, we are the population, we belong to the world population, we are the world humanity, we are the mankind. We should stay minded together. So, God lives, or divinity lives, or spiritualism or mysticism, the divine love and blessings and peace, everything lies not within one man or a group of men, but in all of men. You are not brutish. You are not atrocious as the whole world looks at you, but you are normal human beings with flesh and blood and love and humanity and what you say, humanitarian ethos, benevolence, kindness, sympathy, and all those soft feelings. And God lives in you, in all men. You, the people, have the power to create machines. That machines should contribute to the power to create happiness, not violence, not destruction, not chaos and mess and total devastation of the world. You must use your power, you must use your faculties to create machines that would in turn culminate or bring in human happiness. So, all these are solutions and suggestions by the speaker who is forsaking or giving up his role as an emperor. That's the reason why he apologized at the beginning, at the outset of the lesson, at the outset of the speech. He says, I'm sorry, I do not want to be an emperor. So, you are the people who can make this life more free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy. That's the reason why he calls or he addresses or he demands liberty. Fight for liberty, not for power, not for violence. Let us use that power. Let us all unite and let us fight for a new world. Let's fight for a better world. It's a concept of a new world that the speaker brings in here. A decent world that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. Yes, too good. Wonderful, brilliant resolution. Of course, this place should be a better place with peace, happiness, and love. And mankind, they should be united together in terms of peace, improvement, work, and better prospects of living. Men, adults, they should have better chances, opportunities, and chances to work for employment that will give youth a future. It's a better future, better prospects of life for the youth and old age, the elderly, the aged section, people who are in their evening of their life. They should have a better security and safety. They should have a peaceful life, towards the end of their lives. By the promise of these, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. There is a point. These dictators, these leaders, these politicians, these war mongers, these corrupt administrative administrators, what do? They offer, they promise us a lot of things. They promise us a better life. They promise us equality. They promise us liberty. They guarantee freedom, liberty, peace, and happiness. But they lie. They are lying. They lie without any prick of consciousness. They do not fulfill that promise, and they will never do that. Why? Because they are governed by greed. They are governed by uh, selfishness, self-centeredness, by hate, by greed, the obsession or the passion, the selfishness for to get power. They need power, nothing else. They never care. They are borderless and regardless of the whole humanity. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave people. Why do you follow them? Why do you favor them? Why do you agree with them? They free themselves. They are living for themselves. They take care of only themselves. They never take a heed. They never pay attention to the global grievances. All those grievances are never confronted, never met, and never catered to. They enslave the people. That's what happens. And now, let us fight to fulfill that promise. These leaders, these politicians, at the outset of ruling us, they have promised us a lot of things. They have guaranteed us a better prospects of living, but they never have fulfilled all these promises. Why? They are busy. They are busy fulfilling their own greed and hatred. So they are self centered, atrocious, emotionless creatures or beast like figures. They never help us. They would never support us. They would never take care of us. And what are we supposed to do? We are to fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate, and intolerance. We should wipe out this greed. We should erase this hatred and this intolerance. And let us hope for a better world, a world of reason, animosity, animosity between the hatred, the despicable nature of warring factions and political groups. All these have culminated in the total devastation of the whole world. So we need to fight for a world full of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. So, soldiers, he's calling soldiers. Why? He's wearing a military costume. He's in a uniform. He's in a soldier's, he's in an officer's uniform. You can see there in the images and pictures on the video which you have seen, you can see he is wearing an army official and officer's costume, a uniform, and he is addressing the whole world. Especially, he's talking to soldiers. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite. So, democracy is a unifying force. He is actually, basically or essentially, he's condemning. This is an indictment against the dictators. And he is revealing the hypocrisy of all these dictators who tell us, who promises, but they are never kept. They break their promises and their offers to the whole world. The vulgarity, the corruption, the violence of all these dictators, how they have marred, how they have severed and cut all these bonds of unity, peace, and happiness all over the world. So, Charles Chaplin ends his talk, his speech, the Great Dictator speech, by hailing and lastly addressing the soldiers in the name of democracy, let us all unite. So there ends a splendid speech, which has acclaimed universal wag and universal applause all over the world. And Chaplin in this movie plays both leading roles. He is in the film. You can see him playing or enacting the role of a ruthless, brutal, fascist dictator. And again, the same person doing the role of a persecuted Jewish barber. The Great Dictator was popular with audiences, becoming Chaplin's most commercial, successful film, and modern critics have also praised it as a historically significant film and an important work of satire, which is pertinent and relevant and fresh even today. So, thank you guys. Thank you for watching and listening. See you in the next video lesson.